Mr. Speaker, devolution in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland is one of the proudest achievements of the last Labour government. Until now, whatever our disagreements, there's been a very broad consensus about devolution. So why did the Prime Minister tell his MPs this week that Scottish devolution is, in his words, a disaster?
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what has unquestionably been a disaster is the way in which the Scottish Nationalist Party have taken and used devolution as a means not to improve the lives of their constituents, not to address their health concerns, not to improve education in Scotland, but constantly, and I know this is actually a point of view that is shared by the right honourable gentleman who leads for the opposition, but constantly to campaign for the breakup of our country and to turn devolution, otherwise a sound policy from which I myself personally benefited by when I was running London, but turn devolution into a mission to break up the UK. And that, in my view, would be a disaster. If he doesn't think that would be a disaster, then perhaps he could say so now.
Could I just say it's the Scottish National Party, not the Nationalist Party. Otherwise, the phones will be ringing longer than
I'm so sorry. They're national but not nationalists, I see. Right.
We can play pedantics another time. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the single biggest threat to the future of the United Kingdom is the Prime Minister every time he opens his mouth on this. When the Prime Minister said he wanted to take back control, nobody thought he meant from the Scottish people. But the Prime Minister's quote is very clear. He said devolution has been a disaster north of the border. This isn't an isolated incident. Whether it's the internal market bill, the way the Prime Minister sidelined the devolved parliaments over the COVID response, the Prime Minister is seriously undermining the fabric of the United Kingdom. So instead of talking down devolution, does he agree that we need far greater devolution of powers and resources across the United Kingdom?
We now go back. Well, Prime Minister.
I mean, Mr. Speaker, I think it's Tony Blair himself, the former Labour leader, who has conceded that he did not foresee the rise of a separatist party in Scotland. He did not foresee the collapse of Scottish Labour. Mr. Speaker, and I think the right honourable gentleman is quite right. There can be great advantages in devolution, and I was very proud when I was running a devolved administration in London to do things in which I passionately believed, like improving public transport and fighting crime and improving housing for my constituents, and we had a great deal of success. And what disappoints me is that the Scottish National Party, Mr. Speaker, and I abide by your ruling on their correct name, the Scottish National Party, Mr. Speaker, is not engaging in that basic work.